Hi, it's Neil here from Wedding Help NI. I'm at the beautiful Great Northern Hotel in Bundoran. It's looking absolutely fabulous, isn't it? It's been all done up.
Stunning.
And of course, we're here from Wedding Help, and I'm along with Micheál and Carina, Team Bride and Red Alert bands. But it goes further back than that, guys. With you, of course, you work together and all as well.
Yeah.
So you have that connection.
We're married.
Spoiler.
So take us right back. We'll start with yourself, Micheál. Where did it all start out with the band? Was your sort of big thing at the start, was it?
Well, I've been playing with the two other lads since 2000, so 26 years this year, but we started probably playing weddings in, I think, 2010 might have been our first wedding. We went to Coventry for it.
Seriously?
It was, and like, we started then kind of doing the odd one, but it grew then kind of really from 2014, 2015, we kind of started
really took off,
pushing the weddings. Like.
How did you find that? I know from myself, even coming from like an entertainment background, taking it from, because we all sort of started in pubs and stuff like that. How did you find that jump going to a wedding? I remember even playing in bands before I started doing the Hypnotist show.
Yeah.
And like you were going to a wedding and we were chatting about this just before we came on, and you were nearly looking around the country to say, hey, can I lend a speaker? Can I, you know, because you wanted to go and have so much sitting in front of you.
Yeah,
and
we
such,
like,
you know.
like that, like we were saying, is like, I used to panic because I would be like ultra anxiety about everything and making sure everything was perfect. And I'd be, at the start, I was always that way of, this is the biggest day of their lives. We have to put on the best show that they've ever, like, and very much I would be thinking about any wedding that was coming up for a week or 2 weeks beforehand, panicking about it. And then, yes, kind of.
I think the more you do too.
That's it.
Because like it was, like I remember, you would have been doing a lot of pub, for me, I was doing like a lot of pub work, and then I was coming then and doing very sporadic weddings. So maybe, and even whenever the Hypnotist show, I think the first year I had done about 8 weddings. So I was still doing the sort of clubs and them working men clubs and stuff like that. So you were going to a wedding and you were just a panic, like I had complete fear. Like, you know.
Kind of for us, I think as well, we had kind of flipped from, like the pub gig for us used to be, you would play a song or two and then you would have a chat and it would be all very relaxed. And then we started trying to do that. We were doing the same circuit kind of as Big Generator and J90 and that. So you're doing the kind of club where there was no gaps. You had no gaps between songs. You were just like, it was an hour and 45, 2 hours. Flat to the mat. There's no silence. So kind of going to the weddings then was a wee bit, that made it a wee bit easier because you were kind of.
Did you find set list hard, changing that from?
Definitely, yeah.
You know, because I know you would have played like, you know, the sort of clubs and stuff in Letterkenny, and really you're not going to be doing slow sets, you know, you're not going to be doing waltzes, you're not going to be.
That's it. You had to have a waltz set and say like a lot more of that jiving and waltz and stuff that you wouldn't have been playing. But now, sure, like that's what they're playing and.
But I know you're a big Daniel fan, so you knew all that music.
Oh, absolutely.
That it was no bore. So it wasn't. But I suppose now growing up in you know, your Glanties,
Glanties,
that sort of area, country music and all. So and it's big around, you know, Donegal and stuff.
Yeah,
that's huge. Maybe not so whenever you were doing Letterkenny and stuff. You were having to play the more rock sets and stuff. Maybe an odd country song, but you really have to adapt that on their wedding because you know that they needs about a jive, like, and it needs that sort of thing.
Exactly, that's it. Like, especially in Donegal, as you say, like it's kind of, it's expected at any wedding. Like, no matter how progressive the bride and groom think they're going to want it, the people going to the wedding are going to want a jive at some stage. Like, even if you play in a rock and roll set, that kind of they can jive to, that it's not full on like Monaghan country, as they kind of call it, as like do you know? But it's. Yeah, it's a completely different gig, playing a wedding. So you do have to, that's why I used to say, like, when we were working in Harvey's, I used to tell people, like, what's the band or who's the band? And they'd be like, oh, it's such and such. We've seen them in this pub. And I was like, do they play weddings? And they were like, oh, they do the odd one. And I'd go, just be aware that it's a completely different gig, like. Because
but even a lot of the pubs as well you walk under, they have in-house PAs and stuff like that. You know, it's about knowing that whenever you're booking a band that they're able to come.
Yeah.
Like I done a podcast to the professionals, and we were saying, using the profession, but professional bands as such. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So people that's doing this day in, day out, and I know way off they start somewhere, but it makes such a difference.
Oh, massive.
And even from the admin side as well, that you're contacting somebody that, has done Harvey's Point, has done the Great Northern. They've been there, they know the room, they know what they're doing. It's not just coming along and hoping for the best. Like,
exactly,
you know what
that's
I mean?
it, yeah. And reading the room, reading the floor, like, because if you're kind of used to doing pubs, you're just playing the songs and somebody's going to enjoy it. Whereas with the wedding, you need to see, oh, that song didn't work. And you need to kind of lean the set into more one way or another. Whereas, and that just, a lot of it is taking time to build it up and learn that. But I think playing in the pubs is well important before you start a wedding band.
To get that bit of experience.
To learn that gigging experience. Because it's kind of it's very easy to get into doing weddings now because of Facebook, because you can kind of show, oh, we do weddings. Whereas I do think years of playing in pubs and them hard gigs season you kind of into
a couple of good nights at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hardens you if nothing else.
Exactly.
Carina, what about yourself? You've had a massive journey in weddings, starting out in Ballybuffet. Isn't that right? You started Micheál Honey's?
Yeah, I started in Micheál Honey's randomly. I started Micheál Honey's as the HR officer.
Right, so you weren't actually in the wedding department, right?
No, I was always mad about weddings.
Always,
like, my friend always said that I did everything apart from marrying for her, like when she was getting married. Like, I was just mad about weddings. And a chance encounter landed me in this HR role in Micheál Honey's, and I did that for about 8 months, and something happened in the bridal department, and they needed a caretaker manager. So I was kind of pushed in there for 3 months, and 9 years later, I was still there.
You were still there?
So that's what kind of started it all.
Did you enjoy that? Because it's a process, I suppose, with weddings. That's the first part of, it's nearly the big thing, the wedding dress and stuff, and that, it's a big thing for a bride, but also it can be a very stressful thing for a bride, I'm sure, as well, because I suppose there's something in their head, and it's really playing that out too, like, isn't it?
Yeah, I loved it. I really did love it, and I lived and breathed it when I was doing it. But it was very stressful as well, because to us, if the bride's dress, it's like what you were saying, whenever you started first, you're like, oh my God, you'd think about every wedding for weeks in advance and stuff. And I was kind of like that about every bride that came in the door, and when she got her dress, and if there was a problem with the dress before the wedding, it was a major problem. It was a stressor. Like, I know times I didn't sleep for a week over somebody else's dress. I'm sure they don't even remember the handling that it was at the time, but things happened. Like, it always worked out in the end, but no, there was always bumpiness. There's a lot of horror
stories you would see too, because we even see it in the group where brides maybe go to, like, the bridal shops and stuff, and I think, you can get something in your head that it'll be like this, and it's maybe just not, fittings and stuff and sizes and that whole thing there as well. Like, it's
there's a whole lot more to it than just going and it being this fairy tale appointment. Now, I would say like 99% of it is all that, but that's not the part you hear about. Especially on groups and stuff like that. They're not going to come on generally to share all the good stories. They'll come on when there's a problem. So that is a part of it, but it's a small part of it. Like, working in the bridal industry, I just thought it was such a privileged place to be. You were in so many special moments. I always loved when, they said yes to dress and people got emotional, and like, I'd be getting emotional. They'd be like looking at me like, I couldn't help it. I just got caught up in it. But I think you have to love it to be in it.
I think it's one of them industries, even at that, whether it's playing or whether it's, you've got to sort of enjoy it, like, because you can't act it, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't.
No, people will see through you.
You can't act it, and you can't sort of go to that. You then went on the hotels and stuff like that, or was that further down the line?
Yeah, it was a wee bit further. When I was in Micheál Honey's, I did like the managing and buying and stuff like that, and then I had started TeamBride on the tail end of that. Right. And I started it as a blog. Do you remember blogs when people used to actually write things?
Yeah, read things.
I started it as that, and it was just a wee outlet for me because I had so much knowledge about weddings, and social media I sound like a dinosaur, but social media was so different back then. Yeah. You didn't have TikTok and stuff. Instagram was just starting. Facebook, it just was taken off. Do you know, it wasn't the way it is now. So people were looking at blogs for information. So I started Team Bride as a blog. And I'll remember the first bride that said to me, she had a really complicated dress and she was from Lurgan, her name was Sharon, and she had said, I'd really love if you could come to my house in the morning of the wedding. And I was like, oh God, maybe I could. And that's what started the whole Team Bride dressing service.
And that was that service now has become something that's you know, there's a few people doing it.
Yeah.
But at that stage there probably wasn't a lot doing it.
At that stage I didn't know of anybody else doing it. Now I know there are a few, especially I would say the last 18 months, 2 years.
It's become very popular.
And it's great because I'm biased, but it is a good service. You know.
Do you know what? I think it's just changed from the days, and we'll know this at being at weddings.
Yeah.
Do you know where your bridal party was like they got in behind you and they were there? That's not really everybody's out. You know, I think even you could go to a wedding now and the bride's party might have their partner there, and they're you know, or they might have children there and stuff. They've other things going on just on the day.
I think it's become more that the couple want their bridal party to be a party. Do you know, they want to relax and enjoy it and not have to give them jobs. Because it used to be that you gave your bridal party and your groom's party jobs to do, and you were responsible for this, that and the other. Now half the time now they're like, I wouldn't trust Johnny or Mickey to be.
That, like years ago, like money and stuff now, where it's like everything's now just, you know, bank transfer and all that kind of, like it's you know, whereas the best man was always, you know,
he was running away with a jacket full of money,
stuff, you know, so, but that doesn't happen. Like it's just all completely changed, and I think that whole thing's just, it's flipped on its head nearly, and it's just everybody's taking their own things. I think your service is great because the bride's getting that bit of attention as well, and it's important that too as well. They feel special on your day too. Like.
It's just having somebody there that is going to do the thinking, so you can just enjoy it. You don't, like, 9 times out of 10, the bride has done the majority of the planning and the work and the stressing and the lead up to the day. Yeah. She doesn't need to be planning and stressing on the day as well. You've done your work now, hand it over to somebody else. Because I do the morning service and I do like an all-day PA service. Depends on what the couple needs.
And you know what?
But just hand that over.
Class as well. The PA, and you'll know this as well from landing on the hotels. We land on the hotel. We're the band, we're the entertainment.
And they're too busy clearing tables.
Busy. And do you know what? That's fair enough, because that's their job. But they're not there to, you know, a lot of brides sort of think that, you know, a wedding coordinator in a hotel is their personal. Yeah. And there's some hotels you go into and the wedding coordinators are a bit more towards the bride. There's some that's there just to, you know, really coordinate their staff and make sure that the meals are going out the way they're supposed to go out. Yeah. It's not that service. So like wedding planners and stuff like that. I know I done one last week and it was they had a wedding planner. It was great. Everything was so well timed. I was doing the MC and I was doing the hypnotist show after dinner. Everything was so well timed because the wedding coordinator or the wedding planner, she's moving them on to the next part of the day as needed to be done too. Like, so that service is important too. Yeah. You know,
that's about managing what the couple wants and looking after their interests. The venue coordinator is looking after the venue side of it. Yeah. And some of them are really good at looking after everything, but that's not actually their job. So having somebody there, as you say, just to kind of move everything along, be the point of contact for suppliers and maybe be the middle person between the bride and groom and the hotel to make sure that everything's communicated well. Yeah. Do you know, it just saves a lot of hassle.
How did you find that? I know you were in Harvey's for a while. That's you two were working together in Harvey's Point. How did you find that going from different, you know, you're a very multi-talented man. Of course, you're TikTok famous as well. So you are. But how did you find that going on the hotel setting, where for your background, like, and seeing the behind the scenes? How did you find that?
Well, I absolutely loved it because, like, you knew the workings of it. Most kind of when you would arrive for a band setting, but when you get into the whole meeting the couple for the first time and then getting what they want, like, I just loved that planning of the days of the weddings and just the meeting and having the crack. Because like Carina says, like when they come in, like it's one of those jobs that people come in and it's a happy, everything's happy, so it's always good. And you know, you're kind of, and like people talk about bridezillas and groomzillas and all this, but like 99% of things that they want are such simple things.
Aye.
That it's only
it's easy to accommodate.
Easy to accommodate. Like, there's nobody coming in looking for you to paint the room or anything like that. You know, it's like, I remember one bride and she was nearly like panicking. She was thinking, how are you going to fold the napkins on the table? And I says, how do you want them folded?
Aye.
I'm not sure. So I took in a napkin and we folded it 3 different ways, and she was like, that way there. I was like, that's fine.
Aye.
She just couldn't get over.
Aye, how easy it is to sort of accommodate.
But she was kind of
things
nearly
that
like
too.
thinking, this is going to be a whole hand. And I was like, it doesn't matter. We'll fold them whatever way you want them folded.
Aye.
But like, accommodations like that can mean so much to them, but it's such a simple thing.
I think for, do you know, like, I know we got married in Harvey's Point. And
Yeah.
see, for Jamie, you know, like Harvey's Point's like, you know, it's such a pedestal for a bride. I think the wedding venue, they're so, you know, like, you couldn't say a bad word about it. They take their venue so serious too. Like, you know,
That's down to Samantha, 100%.
Aye.
She's like bar Carina, I think there's nobody else that knows as much about weddings as Samantha, or as running of a wedding. Like, she is, like, and that's the only reason I like got as good as I was, because of her. Like,
you were learning that sort of thing.
and you knew this is the standard, and you don't
Aye.
go below that. Like, and it's, you know, and everybody then rows in. Like, that's the good thing about Harvey's too. All the staff row in. They know there's a standard.
Aye.
And like, but yeah, she's phenomenal.
Aye.
Like,
But I think for a bride, it's so important that they know their venue too. And do you know what? Like, most venues you go to, they'll have somebody on site. You know what? Like, it's Shane here, he'll be running about and stuff. And they're on. They know they can answer the questions. I suppose for couples as well, don't be scared to ask.
Yeah.
You know, if you require something or you think I would like that, don't be scared to ask too. Is a big thing.
and that's the one thing I learned as well, is that you kind of, there's some venues you go into and they're like, oh, well, we have to wait in the bride and groom to do this. So we have to, and I remember saying in one venue, I was going, when can we get into the room? Like, and it was, I think it was nearly 10 o'clock. And they're like, oh, we're just waiting for the bride and groom to. I was like, they don't know that.
No.
This is their first time doing it.
Aye.
You need to tell them.
This is all new to them, like, you know.
And like, you need to, and it's not that you're going over giving out to them. You're going over and saying, oh, like, we need you to do this so we can do that. And
Aye.
but I was like, and it never even. There's the bride and groom there behind you. Let's go. Like, tell them that this is what you need.
Aye.
And she never even. I could see the penny drop on her, and she went in, and it all happened.
But you know what? You go to venues, and like, I remember you were in Jackson's for a while too. And do you know what? Like, whenever you seen you, I knew here we're in business, and like, you know, because you know things are going to happen. Do you know, and you know things are going to. There is venues that maybe aren't doing a lot of weddings as well, and that's our side of the thing. It's a bit new to them too, and they don't really do a lot of weddings, and it's trying to figure it out as they go along. Like, if you go to a venue, and you'll be able to see that in the reviews, you know, if a venue's doing a lot of weddings and they're turning them over, it's a good thing, because they know exactly what they're doing on the day.
And it's like that, you go to Jackson's and Denise's there, and like, you know, if she comes out and says to you, like, we're at that stage and this is what you'll have, and you're going, that's perfect. And you just know.
If I land on, like, I've been in the Villa Rose a lot as well, with like LED letters, and you walk on it, you're going there with them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big help too, like,
Massive.
because they know exactly what's happening on the day and how things are supposed to be laid out as such, you know.
I think it comes down to as well, sometimes I find venue coordinators, maybe they're a bit newer, but they don't feel like they can guide a couple.
Yeah.
You know, they're almost afraid to be like, do you know, but the couples are happy to be guided in my experience. Because as Micheál said, generally they've not done it before. We've done it hundreds of times.
Like, you know,
You have, in a certain way, to be able to guide a day through without it looking like you're pushing somebody around, saying, do you know, come on, you need to do this. You know, but you need the flow of the day to go.
Like, I do remember one couple, and that's where it kind of really clicked with me, that was where you need to be. They were a really young couple, probably one of the youngest weddings in Harvey's that I had done, and I remember her kind of looking over to me, and I was like, you all right? And she was like, what do we do now? And I was like, listen, you just go and do that, like, do your cake cutting photo or whatever it was, and then, but she was like, oh, thanks very much. But you know, I just knew by then that she was kind of like, what do we don't know.
Yeah, what
so,
happens
and
next?
they just needed that wee bit of direction, like, and like, a lot of the time, the photographer will guide that.
Yeah.
If you have a good photographer that goes, like, this is what we're doing now, this is what we're doing now, and then, you know, but if there's anything like that that's slipping, that somebody's, like a photographer's not going to direct it, or Carina's not there, you do need someone to kind of just point things. Do you know? And that's what I think with Carina's thing as well, is that the best thing of it is that the bride can speak to Carina, and Carina knows that's what she's there for.
You're that confident in the day, you know, you're that sort of person that can look after them too in the day. Like,
and then, like, the bridesmaids say, don't feel like, oh, she's barking orders at me, that the bride's not, do you know, because like, the bride will have not the best will in the world. She's not barking orders to anybody, she's just asking somebody to do something, but a bridesmaid can take it the wrong way because she's stressed because getting married. Do you know? Whereas at least with Carina there, it takes all that off. And you see it. I've been in houses with Carina doing video and stuff like that in the mornings, and it's a completely different vibe, like, because it is so relaxed. Everybody's just like, what do we do? Like, oh, they just feel, you can tell that they're just going, oh, we can just relax and drink Prosecco. And do you know?
Yeah.
The mother of the bride would have been a big, I suppose years ago too, the mother of the bride would have took control of a lot of things and probably helped out, and that's probably not as much.
Yeah, mummies love to see me coming now. They're like, oh.
But it probably does take that. And you know, that's like, mothers of the brides would have been even booking stuff, and you know, like years ago, like you would have been, you know, oh, I know a band, you know, you know, it would have been that sort of thing. You know, we know the guy that filmed your auntie's wedding and stuff. Like, it's completely changed now. You know, like a couple now, they go online, they find everything. It's completely different. How have you found that for your own business? I know you're very good online on TikTok and stuff. No, but you are very wedding content, very good. How have you found that? I know I find it really difficult myself. You're very good at talking to camera on TikTok and talking about weddings. I find that really difficult to do. So I
think it's probably a wee bit easier for me because my role encompasses everything. And my experience goes from wedding dresses to coordination to venue. Like, I have experience working in most parts of it. And a lot of what I'm sharing isn't just about bridal dressing or your day coordination. I share general info about weddings. Whereas I find some suppliers are scared to speak outside their niche. Do you know? Do you know what I mean? Like, say if you're in a band,
For the band, I find it just, like, I don't want to be on, because I don't want me to be on speaking for the band, if that makes sense. Because I'm only the drummer, like, I'm there, like, it's not, like, I'm the point of contact for the band or whatever, but I just feel I shouldn't be on talking for the band, if that makes sense. And I don't know.
But do you think that holds? It
probably does.
Yeah,
I would say, like, I find it the band social media very difficult because you're trying to, like, because we don't get videos because you don't. Really,
you're working and
you're trying to get, and then it is something that we need to do, like, and then you're trying to, but we need to get better at it. But it's just hard to. And I think I was just thinking about this last week. Because you hear all these businesses going, oh, like, you retaining customers, and it's all about getting the customer, and retaining them is more important than trying to get new. And I'm going, we don't. It's the one industry that you don't have that. That's the minute you do your wedding. That's gone. That's them. That's your customer gone. Like
I was at a Facebook marketing course about a month ago. So it was something that was done through Wedding Help. They'd done it for their vendors, and you know they were saying, oh, you know, so go on and chat. And I thought, what am I going to go on and chat? You know, it's different sitting here doing this. You can have a bit of banter and stuff, but to go on and chat about your product or even upsell yourself is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And even there, I think, like, you see things at some nights out, and you're going like, Jesus, that there, actually, I should do a video about saying, avoid that, or you know, be mindful of that. And then you kind of go, but I can't do that now because that couple's going to think it's about their wedding. And you're going like, and then, you know, and you'd be wild, like, weary then of that. And you're going, oh.
And I suppose our side of that for couples, you know, looking now, is social media a bad thing? You know, I think at times as well it can be very much sold on. Like, I've seen it on some of the wedding groups in the south, you know, and couples now, they're writing stuff like, looking after meal entertainment, and but not looking this, and it's it's trying to keep on with trends. But then can you overdo that too, and can you over egg that whole thing? I suppose in anything, like you're trying to do something different, but you can't change the wheel as such.
No, that's it. And like that is the one thing people like. What have you seen? What's different? What's different? And you're going like,
aye,
don't just do something different for the sake of doing something different.
Aye,
like because people want to come and enjoy what they usually enjoy as well. Like don't overly, as you say, don't over egg the thing, because you can end up then having 10 things in the room. You'll have a 360 booth, you'll have a photo booth, you'll have somebody drawing you, you'll have,
It can be overstimulating. And also I get this all the time, like I want something different, but your different is different to my different. What's different?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Like every wedding's going to have like a band or a DJ. I know for myself, like every wedding's not going to have a hypnotist show, because some people might go, I think I know worse. And hey, that's personal preference. I think now, but it's buying. You see a lot of ones that they're trying to nearly outdo it by a trend or something like that.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It's not going to be there too in 6 months' time, because it's going to be something different. I
think that's one of the downsides about social media.
Aye.
And I do feel sorry for couples planning weddings now, because it has become such a thing. And with content creators and stuff, like your wedding is being put online like on the day that your wedding is on and all, and I just think that must be wild pressure on some couples.
I know from talking to one photographer, and he was saying that they'd done the wedding and they kept going, oh, that'll go viral, and they're going, he says I went home that night and it felt like I had done 3 weddings. He says because it was just from start to finish, and you're going like just, and always like, and I was like, they don't care about getting married. There's no.
I think it's so easy just to get caught up in the whole thing, and get carried away, and then.
I think it just puts so much pressure on the couple, like, to be honest, because you're just trying to find something that's, and that's not really what it's about.
No.
And for what, like, if it's something new and your other half really want, then fine, do that, but don't do something because you feel a pressure to entertain your guests, or because Mary down the road had this, we're going to have to do that, because I think that, like, no, as you say, nobody's going to remember in 6 months. People are going to remember the same things. They're going to remember how the day felt, what the meal was like, the atmosphere. That's what they talk about after a wedding.
It's them wee unique things, and even how you engage with everybody in the room and stuff. Like, it's really not about.
No, they chat about the crack they had.
Exactly. It definitely is different. But I suppose going back now, so the band and stuff, you got really going with that. How did you find that weddings then? You were breaking into the wedding market?
And
that's really your only thing now?
Pretty much just all weddings. We do some gigs and some kind of local things, but it's pretty much all weddings. Like, it just takes up the most of the time. Like, but I love it. Like, that's the one thing people say. Do you not get bored of? I was like, no. Me and Connell, the cousin, the two of us started the band, like, and we were just chatting about it there last month. We were saying about, like, no matter what's going on in your life, like, you can get up then and play the gig, and it just, for that 2 hours or 2.5, 3 hours, you're just. You can't think of anything else. You have to kind of. You have to be like. You have to be thinking about that, and you're watching the floor, and you're watching it completely. So, like, no matter how shit things are, it gives you this just a great kind of a boost. And, like, people can say, "Oh, you're only in a wedding band," and we are only in a wedding band. But I think isn't it great to get paid to go out and play at weddings?
Exactly,
do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Very lucky at that. Like,
it's like that's the thing you do, and like you said earlier. If you don't love it, it is going to be hard work.
Do you know what? If you don't love it, you're not going to give up your Saturday night to go and. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's what it is too. With payments and stuff, and people booking band stuff now and going, my goodness, I didn't think a band cost that and stuff. What's your sort of thoughts on all that, and even any service, I suppose you could touch on as well.
I think people don't understand that it's not just, because what I often see is, say, a band quotes 2,000 or whatever, and somebody will come on and say, for 2 hours? Absolutely not for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You have to think there's like 4 or 5 people in that band. They have their equipment. The time getting there, like I always watch your social media, like you're rarely home before 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Never.
Do you know, it's
You do a
loading
lot
it
of
all up and
travel
all
too,
that. Like,
you know,
It's not massive, like, but even within Donegal, like you go to Ballyliffin, you're now in 40 or in 45 minutes from us, like.
well, it's just because you don't live somewhere that the roads are there.
That you're kind of like it's just the way it is with Donegal. Like you have that's
I
it
know,
though.
Donegal's so big, like.
If you and like I remember we went to Carrigan Shannon and the boys would go, "Geez, we go to Carrigan Shannon." I was like, it's literally. It was like 10 minutes further than Ballyliffin. And they're like, all right, that's not too bad. And you're kind of going like 4 counties down. Like, but but as Carina says, like people just go, geez, that's handy money. And you're going, do you realise how much it costs to put this on the stage? Like
the way I always look at it as well, you know, as I'm full time, like, and you know, it's full time. You have to make a week's wages out of that. So break it down. If you do, you know, 100 weddings a year, well, break that money down and put it on their week's wages, and you'll realise that you're, you know,
and the thing is
you
too,
could be better off working it.
Yeah.
You know.
But the thing is too, like when like you're the same as me, you're doing all the emails and all that.
Aye.
Like I was looking there, I think I sent something like 100, 200 and something emails this week, like, and you're kind of going, and a lot of that could be just we're not available. Here's bands that you can try.
Aye.
A lot of it is just that, but you have to follow up with it. Like you still have to send emails. Like you could be, and that takes time. Like
I suppose touching on that, have you found as well, because like wedding fairs and all aren't what they were, you know, like years ago people went around wedding fairs and that was a big thing. Have you found like I know, like if I know I came home from Galway there on Friday night and I had 4 or 5 emails and I had a couple of WhatsApp messages, and like this was about 3:30 I get on the door, like, and I said, right, I'll get on late. And like, would you do that, or you know, would your sort of thing be like that too, like, or? I
try my best to do it at the laptop because I have stuff like the attachments, not that I send, and then like so I try to do it like, but it's always that when everyone's away in bed and I'm at 2 o'clock in the morning any night of the week, like you're kind of doing it, but because if I open it on the phone, I could read it, and the ADHD kicks in then, and I go, I'll reply to that now when I get settled.
I could literally get home like at 3:30 and I'll sit and I say, right, I'll get that through that now. And I think people expect that, you know, they really expect that now. You know, the quick response, you know, everything's so quick and everything has to be so...
It's instant. They think if they message you, because like sometimes I'll get a message like that, say at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And then the next day I might be out at a wedding, and then I'll get, like, say, an email. I sent you a message, and I'm like, I literally have not had time. So I tried to kind of put, like, parameters around it a wee bit, but people don't want to wait. No. And I understand that, but also, especially during wedding season, I find the admin part of it hard. And then you're trying to do your admin and your social media, and as well as being out.
You don't
doing
have
your
3 or 4 in your office, just
no,
sort of...
funny enough.
But a lot of it is too that they people will email you at a weekend when they are off work, and they don't take into account that is your at work. And like you're kind of going, and even there last week, a fella rang me and says, I was chatting to such and such, and his cousin was emailing you there but didn't get a response, and I was like, geez, I done emails yesterday, like and then I went in, I on the phone, I just went in, I just sent it at 20 to 12 this night, and this was like lunchtime the next day. I was like, I'll get back to them. Do you know? I was like, oh God, not even 24 hours, not even 12 hours.
But there is a lot of that now, like, and I suppose with social media, people expect just that answer back and instant, like that sort of thing.
And you've got like Instagram DMs, you've Facebook Messenger, you've TikTok messages, which are atrocious. They're so hard to keep track of. And then your email. So people are, and then they're coming at you, the same person is coming at you from 3 or 4, and I'm like, oh.
TikTok's actually, I've seen a lot more now starting to come from TikTok. Like, do you find TikTok?
I'm leaning more into TikTok now than Instagram, because I find TikTok is a little bit more anonymous. For one way, I think that I feel like everybody knows me on Instagram, so I'm kind of a wee bit more shy of going on and talking on Instagram. Like I used to chat away in stories. I don't know what it is. Whereas I feel a bit like on TikTok, it's not the same because they're not going into your stories. It's if it comes up on their For You page,
And
then
that's probably
they're interested.
That's probably actually, now that you're speaking about it, probably that's where we should be pushing more to, because people that are following you on Instagram and are watching you on Instagram, they already have had you, or
They
it's
know what I'm
done.
about,
Whereas the way the TikTok algorithm works, it pushes it out to people that are interested in weddings, or so you're probably going to see, or people are going to see you because they're getting engaged or whatever.
The inquiries I get on Instagram are from, say, recommendations from, because that's where I get most of my weddings from, as recommendations from the bride will say, oh, you need to book Carina because of this, or or bridesmaids that are there in the morning are like, oh God, I need you in my wedding. So they contact me through Instagram. But new bookings for different venues and say further south, I'm getting a lot of that through TikTok at the moment because I'm popping up on their For You page and they're like, oh, haven't heard of her, what's she doing? Like,
I would see an old one coming on TikTok and it might be down the country somewhere.
yeah, and it is directly, if I post something that say is behind the scenes and is like a wee voiceover or shows me doing whatever, like that's when I get inquiries, you know.
But it can be really hard. I find as you said, they manage that because you see a message coming on TikTok, you have an email coming on, you have WhatsApp coming on and stuff, and it can be so hard to manage that sort of.
I just get overstimulated and I'm like, okay, I'll leave all them to Monday.
Do you find as well with your own sort of thing, the Donegal Daddy thing, do you find like, do you get messages then for the band and that, or is that like sort of?
Sometimes you would get the odd one like going like, oh, my daughter's getting married and have you this date, and like I just can't get back to them if we have it or not, or else then I'll say email through the page.
It can be difficult. Like I actually think, like a couple of years ago, Facebook marketing was really good for me. So I would have just done the Facebook ads, and it was great because it sort of streamlined it on the website. Yeah. The website streamed it to an email, and you knew sort of everything was coming through. Yeah. But now it has become that it's a bit of a Wild West sort of, and where it's coming through.
And it changes. Like I think, but for us as well, like it's a word of mouth is a lot of it. Like, but for you, I suppose too, like you'd imagine that people, they go, oh, sure, what would I need that for? And then when they see it on the day, like you can see why it's really important.
So tell us, Donegal Daddy, how did that all come about for you?
Well, that came about because of COVID. The COVID, of course, the way a lot of these things happened was I was working in Harvey's as the wedding coordinator and then the wedding band, and overnight both jobs were gone, and so I was at home then, and my wife then's a pharmacist, so she had worked through it, the whole lot of it. So I ended up just at home with our wee girl. She was 9 months at the time, Gracie, and literally just messing about and started doing silly videos, and next thing people then started going, I was doing movie scenes, kind of not lip syncing even, but just acting them out or whatever, and then I just done a movie scene and people kept saying, oh, do this one, do that one, and then I done that for like 7 or 8 weeks. Every day I was doing a movie scene, and it just kind of kept going and going, and then I wasn't even using Donegal Daddy at the time. It was Carina says, you need to put them videos on TikTok, and I went on TikTok, and then when I went on the TikTok, I just put in Donegal Daddy as the name, and then I kind of took from there then, but yeah, it just kind of grew from that, and then people wanted to see more just stuff, because I ended up staying a stay-at-home dad then, because I didn't go. I went back to Harvey's between the first and second lockdowns, but then it ended up, what happened was the weddings, because of COVID, the wedding start time was getting earlier, so it started to kind of push into
where you want to be now.
The jobs were kind of clashing, and I just remember one evening leaving Harvey's, and it was because I had never left a wedding at Harvey's before. I would try and get them to the main course, even like you're meant to finish at 6, but I think 7, half 7 was always I would leave at, but you just kind of, you're always leaving that everyone was sorted. And I got into the van and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like I'm trying to get to the next venue to play the band, and then I was staying there till 3 a.m, and then getting home, and then getting up at 8 and going back into work again in Harvey's, and I was like, this is going to kill me, like, and then I just says, no, I have to cut it.
So
then I ended up just being the stay-at-home dad then, which it made more sense then, because we had the second child came along, and it was kind of, there was nobody to look after them, basically. You were kind of either going to be spending my whole wage from Harvey's was going to pay childcare, so it was like, what am I going up the road for?
But the social media, you didn't try and that just sort of...
No, it just kind of grew,
like,
yeah.
So it did, like, you know...
And then I think people just, because I was kind of showing then, because at that time, it's a lot different now, even in that 6 years, that there was, everybody online was showing this perfect, like, I am the best parent and I'm the best, whereas I was showing how much of a shit show I am and how hard it is, like, whereas people weren't doing that at the time, really. There was, you know...
You were showing real life.
And you were kind of, and then you would get messages going, oh, thank God it's not just my house today, or thanks for showing this, or thanks for saying that, because today, like, you know, so then it kind of just grew from that. People just realised that, yeah, it's not this rosy, because that, in fairness, that's what social media was at the time. It was, everything was perfect lives, and then it wasn't. It was a fucking disaster. It was so hard being at home with kids and stuff, like. And
did you find that hard from the point of view of, like, starting in, not getting noticed, but, well, I suppose like getting noticed, but, you know, I wouldn't say you're somebody that's behind a drum kit. You're not like a... Do you know what I mean? You're not out front, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not sort of...
And that's what people kept saying to me. Like, oh, sure, you be in the band. You're kind of... you must be well... And I'm like, I hate speaking on the mic. I hate...
Because I've went to weddings where we've worked together, like, and, like, you know, oh, can I get a photo of you? You know, and I say that, but I don't think it's not your real person, you know.
No,
that's not your,
I always just think, what do you want? Like, what are you going to do with that for? Like, do you know, like the amount of selfies I've got with people, and you're kind of going, what are you going to do with that? Like, I'm not like. It's
not your personality, or to be sort of, you know, you're not so.
But the other thing, but the other thing it did, like, I find, which is amazing, is like, you might at a wedding, somebody will come up to you quietly, like a fella, and say, geez, like, I, you know, talk to you about being at home themselves, like, and how they found it, like they were like, oh, it was really, like, I shouldn't be doing this, I should be out working, kind of thing. And then he says, no, but you're kind of, you know, because there is that thing of, like, going, the fellas were going, like, oh, geez, they feel like nearly they shouldn't be at home. And it's whatever works for each family, like. But that's and like, so there's a lot, and then other ones talking to you about mental health, and about, like, I talk about the ADHD as well, and people talk, like, so. Did
you find that hard to share?
I didn't even realise it was a thing about sharing. I just talked.
People
about,
were probably pointing it out to you before you knew.
But I didn't realise it was a subject that you kind of was weird to talk about. I just thought, sure, it is what it is, kind of thing.
I'm sure you helped a lot of people, but
well, it's like, I don't even read
social media and sort of, you know.
You don't even like, one of the teachers in the school down beside us. Like, I went up to get a coffee one day last week, and they were like, "Oh, such and such bought you the coffee," and I was like, "What?" They're like, "Oh, because you're talking about ADHD online and that," and I just had said something about whatever was going on last week, and then I was like, "Right." She was probably, and I was like, "It's weird," like, because I don't see it as anything. Yes, it definitely isn't a good thing to have, but it's not a bad thing either. But it just has its moments where you have to kind of cop yourself on and get things done. I don't see why you shouldn't talk about it either. Like,
well, I see all your cleaning buddies and all. So that sort of
that's part of it, I think. Yeah,
you know,
like power washing the street.
I need that man in my life, so that's what I'd be thinking.
But that's like, but then like, that's the problem too. Like, it was yesterday, like, I started power washing the pavement in the town, like, and I was like, I'll get up this wee bit done, and then I'll go home and I'll relax for a wee while, and then go to the wedding. And then I was like, I'll just go a wee bit further. And then I was like, oh, I can keep going for another wee. And then literally you do it until, shit, I have to. And then I was literally running, putting all that stuff away, repacking the van, running, getting in the shower and out the door. Like, I had literally a 10-minute turnaround to get out the door. And I was like going, why did I not just stop half an hour early? But
it's not something you need to be.
Yeah, but you just get so focused on things then. Like, and it's just like, like that's why like even with the band, I don't know how. Like it has been 26 years of doing that every weekend, pretty much. Like you kind of go, God, it's wonder that, but it just.
It could have helped, you know, it could have helped.
Oh, definitely,
too. And
100%.
Even you chatted about it earlier on, about how important a big day is and stuff. I would say that whole thing's helped that.
And I think that's why it is, because it's not doing the same thing every night. Like people think it's the same thing, but
yeah,
it's always like there's just variables all the time. It's always changing. Like, and when you're playing, it's always changing. Like your set's never exactly the same. So I suppose that probably part of it does help with the ADHD too. Because I would say during COVID, like not playing was a.
You find that really?
Oh
tough,
Jesus, that was horrible. Like.
Like your outlet.
Yeah.
How did you find then getting back for you both? I know whenever like getting back,
it was hard. It was full tilt.
Mental, like you know, like I think. Like my sort of average year be like a sort of 100 to 120. That year back from COVID, I had done 193 wedding shows, hypnotist shows, and like you know.
So that's why you bought the Great Northern.
No, I thought why not?
Sure, why not? Jeez.
But I remember like days doing 3 weddings in the one day, like you know, and you were going, this is madness. I think a big thing then what happened was there was a lot of people that started up sort of wedding businesses just sort of after COVID.
Yeah.
I know even with our business, the wedding extras business, like photo booth companies, all they just seem to pop up. So that, and I think they went under like a sort of false economy because it came back whenever it was, you know, just after that year after COVID, it was in a boom, and then they're going now, Jesus, this isn't as good as what it was.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
and that's where like. For us, like we're into now, as you say, we're back to kind of like January, February. There was quiet, very quiet this year. Like we done basically nothing this year. Whereas the years after COVID, it was like by the time we got to June, I was like, oh my God.
Probably for you too, but you felt that because even like you know, my sort of January, February would have been the same in entertainment. You would have threw an old pub on it. They don't exist anymore.
No.
You know what I mean? They're just not there.
They're not doing bands anyway. It's kind of like.
You know what I mean? They're not sort of spending that money where it's going to be. So it really does kick wedding season on they sort of April.
Yeah.
Seems to get earlier each year, right? Of something that sort of helps it. But it's April and October that you're
but it's good because like this year now we're in end of July and I still feel that's great. Like we're kind of. Whereas I remember one of them, we were actually in the 30th of December. We were in Cabra Castle. Actually, we were just chatting about it earlier, but I was wrecked. I mean. Wrecked, and I was like, how am I ever going to get home from here? And like I remember I had to pull in about 4 or 5 times on the way home to have a sleep, and the following that New Year's Eve then I just whatever it must have, as obviously something was coming on me, but I just got sick for a full week. And I just thought I was going to die, like, but it was pure exhaustion like. And that was kind of the last year of that real crazy busy, whereas this year, like last year, we finished up and I was like,
it's manageable. Like,
yeah.
And you always panic. I think I always do anyway. Like you always panic and you nearly overbook yourself at times and sort of, you know, because you are self-employed and you're trying to get that. So,
and then you hit that week and you're thinking, what was I thinking?
Exactly. Like, you know, so I suppose that's always a worry. I think whenever you're self-employed, you know, do you know what, I'll take that, you know, because you don't know all. Like,
I find it really hard because now I've just say the last 2 years I've gone full time with TeamBride because before that, because of COVID and stuff, I ended up having to go back into full time work, and I worked at Jackson's and Bundoran and stuff after Harvey's, and then 2 years ago it was like, okay, it was getting to know that crunch point where you're working full time and you have your side hustle, but one needs to give way to the other. So I took the chance and it did work out, but. You lean in.
It's a big decision. Like I remember sort of going out to a job and saying, right, I'm going to give this a go. Like I remember my mum and dad going, "What are you doing?" Like, you know,
you're going to be a what?
Whoa, like they go at this full time, and it is like a, you know, it's a. It
big pays decision. Off though, because I think you have to just take the leap. Because I was actually having this conversation yesterday with a photographer, and like he's at that crunch point, and he's like, do you know, I'm so close to getting the amount of weddings I need to be able to do it. And I said, do you see, it's easy for me to say, I'm not paying his mortgage, but if you leave the job, you'll make room for the weddings you need. Because that's what I found once I let go of the the security of the full-time job, the bookings came
opportunities
in
come.
and opportunities
you
came
put more
in.
effort on too, and
Yeah,
put
'cause you
more
have to.
time to effort.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Whenever you know, well, I need to make it up every week. You know.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
there
But
to
you have that
too.
fear though as well, because even when I left Harvey's too, you had that fear that does the band, like, was the band a kind of a side, was it kind of like a hobby?
Aye.
And putting it now as a business, but for me, I realised then that I know, well, like, you were treating it like a business anyway, like you were kind of pushing yourself to do it as best you can do it, like, so it didn't really change anything. It was,
but you big investment too, and you've done big investment. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's crazy, like, and even like we're upgrading PA again now, like, and you kind of think, what are we doing? Like, putting, you know, you could 25,
just
30.
love new toys.
But you're going, and then you're kind of pricing it, and you're going, oh, gee. And people don't, but like that again, people don't.
No, don't have a clue. Like, you know.
They don't come in and go, oh, look at that. They probably think them speakers are there, and you're kind of going, yeah. And they're going like you've 40 grand's worth of gear, 50 grand's worth of gear sitting on the stage, like, and they're going, they don't.
No, and that's back to the point as well where people are thinking, geez, that sounds well expensive for a band and stuff, but that's what you're buying on. You know, you're buying all your public liability insurance. You're doing all this sort of stuff that has to be done now with a business, like, because if you come on the door in most hotels now, that's the first thing they'll sort of ask for. You know, where, you know, have you got public liability insurance? You know, have you got everything you need?
That's
to
it.
Do that too, like, you know.
But it's like that. You know that story about the fella had the machine that was broken and he couldn't get it fixed, and he asked your man to come, and your fella says, I'll come, and he just looked at the machine, he walked around it, and he just tapped it with a hammer, and it started working. And he goes, that's €2,000, and he says, why the hell? You only tapped it with a hammer. He says, but I knew where to tap. And it's like that. It's like you're paying a band to come in, or you're paying a supplier to come in to run the room for you, basically, your entertainment, and make sure that you're going to be there on time, well put out, turned out. Like one of my things is like top buttons on wedding bands. It drives.
This is one of your big.
Oh, it is, because the boys be like.
I'll have to remember that. Because I always have the top button on.
But no, but if you're wearing a tie, I just think if you're not wearing it,
never wear
you know,
but
I either don't wear the tie and undo the top button. But I remember saying it at a cousin's wedding. I go to, and one of the other cousins was like, "What are you talking?" Like, sure, I was like, "It just looks well untidy. I don't know why." And then about half an hour later, he goes, "I see what you mean now." He's very sloppy looking, like. And I just think, like that, you're going into the biggest day of their lives. They're spending all this money on, like, look at this room, like, it's unreal.
I think you should be well presented. You know, you should look as good as them guests.
That's it.
Out on the
or
audience, like,
some kind of, you know, that you're turned out all right. Like, and it's, people shouldn't be going up going, look at the, geez, that boy's up in a big heavy t-shirt or something. Or, you know,
or even, you know, if you're doing something yourself, working at the wedding, you know, the people know you're not just there for a day out. You know what I mean? Like, that people know, well, that's somebody.
You're presenting yourself professionally as well.
Exactly.
That's where, like, I am, you know, as long as you know that these people, because the other thing is too, is trust then, that you can trust your suppliers. You know, like, because I know brides going, oh, I didn't hear from such and such. I go, they do weddings, they're probably flat out. Don't you worry, like, they're going to, do you know, whereas if it's somebody that isn't used to doing weddings, or doesn't understand that you have to be here, there, that, like, even drinking on stage as well is another one.
I think that's so bad. Like, I really do. Like, and you do still see it. Like, you know, you still see, you know, entertainers coming on, and, you know,
I'd be like,
I think to myself, my goodness, like, you know, would you come to a day job, and, you know, would you get to a day job? Go, I'll take a pint here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I just think it's you shouldn't, like, but that's just. Again.
No, I totally agree. And I suppose that's the thing, you know, like I touched earlier on, we were chatting to professionals, and that's something that, you know, there is people that's doing this sort of part-time, maybe having a full-time job, and it's more of an outlet, you know, it's a night out as such, but it's really, you know, if you're booking somebody for your wedding, you need to make sure that they are, you know, half professional. It's not a night out for them. It's like, you know, it's a professional.
And that they know how to, like, run the floor kind of thing. You've booked this venue that does weddings. You've booked your photographer that does weddings. You've booked a videographer that does weddings. let them
Aye,
guide you.
Aye.
Whereas then you see the brides that are no fault to them, like, but they're having their head a Disney wedding, and it's like, oh, this has to look like this, and oh, this when we do this here, it's going to look like that, or when it's never going to look as good as it does in your head.
No,
and then you're just setting yourself up for a
but
kind of
that's back to the social media thing, I think, as well. There's times, and do you know what? We're probably as much to blame for that, because if I put something up on Instagram, it looks great there.
Yeah.
So it does. It's not always like that. Do you know what I mean by that is, do you know, like I had a conga line going in Galway the other night, and I threw it up on Instagram.
Yeah.
There was about 300 at the wedding, so it was a massive big, you know.
You're not going to get the same vibe from an 80-person wedding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of that too, and then I think vendors are to blame a bit for that, and you need to manage expectations and that,
Yeah.
like, you know. So can't even, you know, if you're having a midweek wedding, you sometimes, you know, your guests won't stay all, you know, your guests.
Yeah.
Your guests.
Some of them anyway. Yeah.
Aye, after dinner, like some of them's gone, like, you know. So I suppose be prepared for that too as well. You know, can be a big
I
thing.
think one of the things about it all is, as you were saying, I know you can have a vision on how you want your day to go, but you need to relax in your mind and let your day be what it is going to be.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah.
And I've seen like quite a few, especially at venues, where you just know to look at a couple or a bride particularly, that they're not relaxing and enjoying, and I'm thinking,
Aye.
you are going to regret this.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter that. And like one of the things I always laugh at is, you know, when they're waiting outside to make their big entrance, and Uncle Johnny comes out to go to the toilet, and the bride's like, get back in there.
Aye.
It doesn't matter if Uncle Johnny's
No.
on his seat, it's all right. Go on ahead.
Aye,
Like,
aye,
do you
aye.
know, it's not worth getting
I think it's
irritated
just-
about
I think
the
it's
little
just that
things.
picture that can be painted
Yeah.
sometimes,
And they just have it in
you
their
know,
head.
and
And
it's just
Yeah.
in the head that oh no, that's not going to be right at all.
Yeah, or if
Something's
somebody
going-
sits in the wrong place, or sometimes I think the things that go wrong can really be one of
That's
the
it.
best memories from the day. Or,
Aye.
like it can break tension, it can make people laugh. You know,
I have a picture,
lean
I
into
have
it.
a photo on my phone from one of the weddings at Harvey's, and because people always go, oh, if it rains, it's going to be a disaster. If it rains, and I have a photo that this couple, Larissa and Michael's their names. I should shout out to them, but Paul McGinty took it down on the pier, and it was raining, and it is the most, just an unbelievable photo. Like,
Aye.
and I was going, you won't get that photo if it's not raining. Do you know?
Aye.
Whereas if you just embrace that whatever happens, happens. And I remember when we got married as well, I says, Deefa, things could go wrong. Something might not just happen. Somebody might not be where they're supposed to be. Don't panic. Just let it happen. Nobody's going to notice, only us.
Yeah.
So don't get it into your head. Like, and that, we had the best days crack. Like, and it's just, you know.
But even chat to your venue, and they'll be able to tell you as well, because like, I know, like we said, we got married in Harvey's, and it was 1st August. It was bucketing down, so it was for most of the day. But there was lots of areas
Options,
inside
yeah.
at that time that they had the wee piano sort of bar and stuff.
Yeah.
Got a lot of photos on there and stuff. There is options, so don't be going on my days wrecked
Yeah.
because it's rained or
Yeah.
you
Like
know.
we're in Ireland, it rains a
Aye.
lot. You know, a lot of people
Aye.
have got married on wet days,
Aye,
and it's all
aye, aye.
turned out okay. Like,
But there's lots of different things that can be sort of
Yeah.
up there as well. You know, like
That's another thing, as you say, though, about talking to the venue. Like, is like, other thing about some of these forums is the minute somebody hears something, they'll go, that's where I'm getting married. I need to go and go on
Right
this
too.
forum. And you're going
Yeah.
like, talk to the venue.
Aye.
Like, before we got married in the Mount Donegal, and I love the Mount Donegal. I love playing there.
aye,
And just because it's always on the ball. But I
Aye.
remember at the time, this lady that was, I worked, the office I was working at the time, she's like, oh, my niece got married there. And do you know they were, and I was like, it doesn't sound, it just didn't sound
no,
right.
Like I remember.
So I rang,
you know,
but there was Geraldine that was Ferguson. She's in the ship key now. But I rang. I said, listen, I'm just telling you what I was told. And she goes, no, never happened.
Aye.
And she was fit to go back and look. And in the notes then it was like the speeches had been an hour and a half. And
Aye,
that was, I was
Yeah.
going, I knew, I says, listen, I know.
aye.
And like our wedding, like the meal was bang, bang, bang.
What'd you call the lady who was on? Was it a
was
couple of years ago?
That was Geraldine Ferguson that was there that time.
Aye.
And then I can't think who came in after Amory, is it you call her? Something to Kerry Garrett. But
She's Carrie Garrett. But like I remember her times, like you come on, you're on at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, we would have got that when we were like from Harvey's, and I know I had it in Jackson's and the Villa Rose as well. Like couples would have rang and said, "Oh, so there was a wedding there last week, the week before, and such said that the meal ran over 2 hours or whatever," and you're like, "No, but this is what happened."
Yeah.
Do you know, like
there is
just
like it, but rather than like whereas. You could, like what's happening, what I see happening or seems to be happening is that rather than me going ringing Geraldine and saying just checking in with this, or make sure if it did happen that it doesn't, and then like going on a forum and saying, "Oh, this happened," and you're going, and then everyone going all piling on, you're going, that's not. Like,
it can be detrimental, I think, as well, to, especially if that's done with offender and stuff. Like, and even I see that a lot on the groups as well, and that we were touching on earlier. Trying to be different. And like I've seen, "Oh, I don't want to sing with her, I don't want a hypnotist at my wedding." Well, if you're looking after Micheál Entertainment, what exactly what exactly do you want? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's you can read them comments and go, I know you're trying to be different, but we're
But like, it's so funny because like they're trying to be different, but then they're going to get somebody that's doing this week in, week out at weddings,
like they're not going to invent a new business for your wedding. It has been done.
You're kind of going, these the person that you're booking is doing this weekly, and you're kind of going, it's not going to be that different because it's been done. It's so funny.
And at least whenever like even the show I do, it's very much designed, for a wedding. It's of it down to a T now. It is, if you're going to, if you've done 3 weddings in a row, they're not going to be much different, but it is suited to a wedding.
But every,
where it needs to be, like,
and it's different people every night, so it is different, like, that's the way it's like, but it's but it's funny.
So the expectations, is there anything else, I suppose, managing them expectations? You would probably see that a lot more, like, budgets and stuff like that too, and even like brides can have in their head, want this, and then the budget, you're just going, my goodness.
I think people forget that, you should, and the amount of people that don't set a budget for their wedding blows my mind. Do you know, like they'll be in, and again in the forums going, how much does a wedding cost? No, what can you afford to spend on your wedding is where you should start. Like, it costs a certain amount to have a full wedding set up, but like there are extras. To me, I'm an extra. I'm a good extra, but I'm an extra. You're an extra. But you know what I mean?
You're extra, that's for sure.
But like, well, you could get married with a band as well, like, but managing all that, I just think it's what we were talking about earlier about getting a wee bit carried away with what you think you should have. I think really just think about what your important things are, what's important to you and your partner, and then think about, I think another thing is they don't think about their guests. So say like when they're looking for that after meal entertainment and they have somebody like, one of those DJs that comes in and raises the roof during the meal and stuff, and half your guests are Auntie Betty's age and they're sitting shell shocked. You kind of have to think about.
But you can wear out guests. You can wear them out. Like I've been to weddings where they've maybe 2 entertainers. And like, it does happen a lot, like, where maybe there's singing with her on before me, and then I'm coming on. And there's only so many highs you can get in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to let them...
And people want, like, a lot of the time people want that, even like, say after your show in between us, like, they don't want the first dance to be bang, Dale's finished. They need that. They need about 10-15 minutes to chat about it, to chat about what just happened. Then it's this thing of... That's the one thing about managing expectations is timings. Like, understand what takes time. Like, travelling from the chapel to the venue, the things like the meal service takes time, the speeches take time.
Photos
it's not just
time.
a case of...
But I've had couples send me through timelines of the day.
And you're like, never...
And you're like...
you're just going like...
Okay.
Thumbs up, like, because it's not
realistic.
Not realistic, like, do you know what I mean? It's... there's going to be something that holds you up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Another
everything
thing
takes a wee bit longer on a wedding day, I find.
Another thing is too, like, it's like Thursday weddings or Monday weddings or whatever. People go, married on a Monday, and you're going like, when you go to a wedding, doesn't matter what day of the week it is, because you're at the wedding. And the same with time, I say at a wedding as well. Once you get to the you know what time the ceremony's at and you're there for that. That's the only time you need to know, really, because as a guest, you just flow through the day with what happens, and it doesn't matter until 2:30 in the morning when the DJ's finished. The rest of it all just happens. So it doesn't matter if the band starts at 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock, because they're just in that flow.
Yeah.
So they don't get so bogged down and
everything has to happen as scheduled, because it won't.
It's 8:30 now, and they were supposed to start at 8, and it's like
it's the way it goes. Too, you know. And it's back to what you were saying. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
You know, you're not there to keep time or like. You know
no,
what I mean?
But like factor it in when you're planning it, because I think Donegal weddings in particular can be guilty of not factoring in travel time. Do you know, your venue could easily be an hour and a half away, which is fine. A lot of people do it, and then they might book a vintage car, so now it's 2 hours away. Do you know? And you have to get photos and they just don't. And then their day evaporates without even thinking about it. So I think you kind of need to when you're choosing your venue and your ceremony location, you kind of have to think about, you know, that time in between and stuff. And once you've committed to it, you just go with it then, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Travel's a big thing too.
Travel's a big thing.
Especially away Donegal. Like Donegal's huge. You know, if you're in one part of it, or especially in them more like sort of outlying areas, like, you know, there's something, you know, it takes ages to get to.
And even that too, like people aren't, like if you have 150 people at the chapel, like they're not going to drive directly as you have it, and they're going to do, and they're going to hang about. They're going to like, it's not just going to be a case of, oh, it takes an hour to get there, so the thing finishes at that, so we'll start the music at the drinks reception at this time, an hour later. No.
But even if you come out as well, the ceremony, you know, there can be about, like that was something actually we said in our ceremony, like as soon as we get outside, we're not stopping to greet, because especially at Donegal wedding, if you had a big Donegal wedding with 300, and after the ceremony you're going to go around and greet all them, you know, at the and then head on to the, you know, that's big things as well. But I suppose that's tips and tricks too. Like
I would always say to couples, if you've got any travel time between your ceremony and your venue, then you have an option. You either greet every guest at the church door, or you greet every guest at your drinks reception with a drink in your hand. You won't get time to do both. So pick which one you want. I know which one I would do.
Do you know what? Like we had a singing with her the time we got married, and they done a conga line, and it was brought up round, and that was nearly our greeting to everybody, like on the day. Like, do you know what? You're going to see them too, like, you know.
Yeah, because that's it. You're shaking hands with them as they leave the chapel, and then a lot of the time, the groom will have already shook hands with them when they arrive. And then you're going
you don't get to spend any time with them. It's like a conveyor belt. It's quite
really
impersonal.
It is.
You know, so and then you feel under pressure to have. They do it because they're under pressure to have to speak to everybody. And like COVID kind of did away with that, because remember you weren't allowed to do it. But I find it's creeping back in again now. But I prefer, if you're stuck for time in any way, I think that's one of the easiest way to gain back time.
That's good. Yeah, exactly.
COVID with Donegal, these were completely out. Like we were grand in the north at times. They brought it back in, and they perform. I think every band in the country hated me right now. Because they didn't have a thing, remember, in the north, you know. Donegal weddings, I always find Donegal weddings very much Donegal suppliers. It's, you know, these are very territorial. So
there is that, isn't there?
This is more towards you. These are proper Donegal. But if you find that as well in Donegal.
But you know what I think it is a lot of the time is, like, I know from talking to other other bands, and I know how do we get into Donegal? And I'm going like, you're doing weddings down the country, kind of Galway, Dublin. You're charging too much. Not that they're charging too much, but they can get a band in Donegal for about €1,000 less than.
But funny, like I was chatting to Shane earlier on in here, and like Shane was saying, you know, say a couple look in a photo booth and stuff, and say they go in one of the wedding dictionaries in Dublin, and they're going on a photo booth price in a Dublin company. Dublin company's coming across country to come to somewhere like here to the Great Northern. It's not, do you know what I mean? There's going to be a big cost there.
That's it.
You know, so you need to keep it sort of local.
And I think that's why you get a lot of it is because anybody coming is going to have to travel are going to have to charge a travel, and they're already probably, because it's just the market's there in Galway and Dublin that you can charge more. So they're kind of going, why would we travel to Donegal and get less money to get the wedding probably, or else charge a crazy, you know.
I think it's probably different as well. If if you're working and living in Dublin, your wage bracket compared to Donegal, like because it's probably more closer to the north than what it does the south. Yeah.
I find too that Donegal couples are more likely to have what, say, their sister had, or their brother had, or their cousin had, whereas, say, northern couples are more likely to want to do something different or opposite to what their sister or brother. Whereas I don't find it's the same here. I think, because a lot of times I'll go, and I've done the sister's wedding, and it's the same photographer, videographer, because they have a relationship and they're comfortable.
I always find it so unique. Like, I always think if you go to a Donegal wedding and the Dohertys aren't doing the video, there's
something wrong.
I don't know
what's going on here.
I was, because after I finished in Harvey's, then I had, like what we were saying earlier, it kind of freed up for other opportunities to come in, and then Cahill asked me to come in and help do some drone work and video work with them. So I was out with Cahill because they were busy with all the backlog. But we went up to one wedding, and Cahill goes, I know that the father of the bride, Cahill had done one of his first weddings, he done their wedding, and then he was back doing the daughter's wedding, and you're kind of going, and
he's like, it's time to retire.
But no, but there's so many weddings that we went to that we done all this, we done all their family.
Honestly, see, I could nearly say, because at times I get bookings, and I'll not know if it's a Derry wedding, a Donegal wedding, or where they're from, and if I walk in and see one of them boys,
Gallagher or Keelan or
I go, all right, this is a Donegal wedding,
But again, they're like one of the suppliers that like from seeing and working with them too, they're just so easy to work with.
Oh, they are. They're lovely.
They just, there's no, and like Cahill was always great at do you know, if we stop there, you're going to lose that bit of time. You're going to, and as you say, managing expectations on the day. Whereas, say if there's a photographer that might be the photographer that wasn't from Donegal or from about, that didn't know the lay of the land as well, he would kind of go, do you know, if you go down there, it's going to kind of cost us X amount of time. And it's so good to have somebody like that's going to keep your timelines some way. I
don't think it's anywhere else in the country, because there's weddings I could do in Wexford, and you might ask the photographer, where are you from, in County Clare, and you're going, you're Wexford, and it's not like that anywhere else in the country. You travel a bit too, but you what do you've done Limerick and stuff.
You'd kind of
stuff
we do, but again then there's nearly always a connection to somebody's. You're done their cousin's wedding, or you done that kind of way. But we don't do it you might do 5 or 6 in the year down past kind of. We're down a good bit in Lochrin this year, so it's just funny the way it falls.
I can work like that.
Sometimes where you go that's end up being where you get booked.
Yeah.
I find that we were talking about this yesterday too. Do you know, if you do somewhere different, somewhere random, then you'll find you'll get a flood of inquiries. You should hopefully get a flood of inquiries.
No, well, I always find that too. There's hotels you might be on for a couple of years, and then the next thing then you have 4 or 5.
It's funny, isn't it now?
So couples relying on cards on the day, then they sort of run around fenders. I've seen it happen. I've seen literally me getting paid from cards. I have nothing against it, but it's definitely something not to rely on. Have the money.
It puts a pressure on you then too, that you start having to go, and you start having to go, and then you're opening cards and you're pulling money out, and you don't know what.
Checking properly,
and you're not going, well, who gave us that?
But also you're thinking on the day, you obviously don't have the money set aside to settle your bill, so you're thinking on the day, God, it has to be at the back of your mind. I think that's such a pressure, and I know couples can find it difficult budget-wise and stuff, but we've both seen occasions where they didn't have enough money from their cards to cover it, and it's a real awkward moment for everyone.
Because one of the times it happened, it was the manager was saying to me, go and tell them they can't leave. The financial manager starts telling you they can't leave unless they pay them, and you're going they literally don't have it. I know from working with them that they completely were blindsided by it themselves. It wasn't oh, we're trying to get out of paying. Like, they were so... They were
Aye.
embarrassed by it,
They
like, as
were,
well.
and it was a big deficit to cover, you know.
And I was like, I can't hold them here, like.
Hostage.
And then, and there, it was so difficult, like, but...
Parking the van at the gates and all
Oh, but that's nearly what they... And I was like, going, I can't, like...
But it is, and I think that's something for couples, you know, make sure and don't over budget, budget what you can, you nearly want that money to come in and then take it to a bank then the next day or something.
Like, don't be relying on what your guests are going to bring, because obviously most guests will give a cash gift now, but you don't want to be relying to pay the rest of your venue bill or suppliers on the day from cards.
I think a lot of hotels now have changed the way they would do that. Like, a lot of the hotels now will be
mostly paid.
And you know what? Like, I've seen a few sort of questions on the wedding help forum, even, when will my hotel, expecting it'll be the next day and stuff. That's not the case now. Like, most hotels will be maybe balanced,
It's a funny one too, because a lot of people don't want to pay their full balance until they've received the service.
Yeah.
Aye.
And I do understand that as well, because say if something does go wrong, particularly with the venue, your venue's generally your biggest bill. So if something does go wrong, it's hard to come back at them then when you've paid in full. So I do get it.
Too, because I see it a lot as well, that a venue might expect so many numbers in order to give that room away on Saturday night and stuff. And that can be a big bother too, because there may be guests dropping out the week before and stuff. So be prepared for stuff like that too. These sort of that can happen.
See, the thing about it is, like, any venue now is going to be really upfront about their minimum numbers, especially for weekends and stuff. So, like, say most of them are 120 minimum number for a Friday or Saturday, and you have to meet that. And I find couples just don't actually understand what that means. That means if you only have 100 guests turn up on the day, you still pay for 120, because that's what.
Especially with the cost of, like if you're thinking of running a venue, like, it is, people don't understand how much it costs to run a venue.
Do you know what I think in the last few years, like I know for me, when we get married, like, prices have jumped a lot too, and I think it's taking couples by surprise of what it is ahead. But it's not that the hotels are going, oh, we're making 3 fortunes here.
But, like, I know from speaking to one of, like, a hotel, like, they were saying the insurance had jumped from, like, over the space of pre-COVID to now, it went from, like, something like 60,000 for the year to 130,000 for the year, and like the ESB bill was something like 75 grand for the year, and you're going, that's 200,000 before you open a door, before you pay a wage. It's like, and then the cost of food. Everyone knows the cost of, like, so you're catering, and if somebody goes, we have 150 people, and then the night before you go, geez, we had 20 drop out, we've only 100, and then you're going,
the food's already prepped.
Yeah, I have enough roast beef and turkey and ham for 150 people bought in, that you might not be doing lunches that would serve that. It's a massive cost, like.
It is. So I suppose that's being prepared too as well for budgeting, back to the budgeting thing, where you're really looking at your budget and going, well, what can we afford? What can we do? Like,
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Just not leaving yourself in a place where you're under stress about money. You're on your wedding day, like.
Another thing is, I used to, like, Samantha might give out to me now, but when I was in Harvey's, like, people go, oh, we're kind of torn between here and wherever, and I would say, like, I just, Redcastle is one of them, and I go, if you're sitting here on your wedding day, you'll be happy, like, it'll be done. If you're sitting in Redcastle on your wedding day, you'll be happy. Nobody's going to be sitting at your wedding. You're not going to be sitting at your wedding in Redcastle going, I wish you booked. Doesn't.
No.
Do you know?
No, you're right.
Wherever
to
suits.
Be fair now, I think Jimmy knew Samantha before I did.
Yeah.
She had in her head, that's where it was.
But wherever you are on the wedding day, you're not going to be thinking, oh, I wish we booked X, Y, or Z. Just go with it when you make the decision, and go with what works, like, for your budget. Like, your budget might not work, and no matter where, it's going to be a room. It's going to be well decked out. It's going to be good service, good food.
It's going to be full of your people.
Yeah, your people.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing as well.
100%. Your people sitting down aren't going to be going, geez, I wish I was sitting in a different chair in the Great Northern, They're not.
It is.
It's like, whatever suits the budget, whatever suits the, you're going to get a level of service, especially in the Donegal venues.
Yeah.
Like we do weddings so well. Like you're going to get a level of service. It's going to be.
Do you find that, do you think, Donegal, you're saying Donegal do sort of so well, do you have both worked in Donegal wedding? Do you find that going to elsewhere or going to, do you think it's because, they're doing big venue, they're doing big
do, well, I do anyway, but I just find that...
You're a proud Donegal man, just...
but it's not even that, but I just find that when we go to a Donegal wedding or Donegal venue, you walk in the door and somebody will acknowledge that you walked in and they'll say, how's it going, lads? We're just at whatever. We're like, some other places you go into and you'll be looking for someone to tell you what's going on. And then they'll not know, or you'll go and you're going, what's going on?
Yeah. I don't know if you'll find the same difference as a guest or a couple, maybe. But I know as a supplier going to venues, I find Donegal venues are very welcoming, very friendly, very accommodating. They'll offer you tea. It's something as silly as, like, it's not everywhere you go they'll offer you even a glass of water. Like, it's mental. Or, and like, we as suppliers, you're talking to couples all the time, and you're going to tell the good and the bad story. You're more likely to tell the bad stories, if couples actually. So I think a lot of venues can miss the point that you should treat your suppliers as well as you treat your couple, because they're the ones that are also recommending you.
And on the flip side too, I've seen that, like, we worked with another, like, you work with, like, say, other suppliers as well, and they came up and they were like, we're going to serve the buffet now, you can just, and we're like, that's no bother. The bride actually asked us to play through it. Well, they're just not coming up to me. Right, we'll take a 5-minute break to allow people, because they were kind of just not. So we took it, and then the fella that was going on after us, like, what do you stop for? He's like, but just letting them, I would have told them to F off. I was like, how is that going to look? Do you know?
How's that helpful?
And I was like, we're all on the one side. Everybody's on the one team. This thing of, and like the same as that with venues, they need to realise that every vendor coming in is on their side.
Yeah.
And do you know what, I've seen that too. Like I'm not being funny. Like, there is venues you're like, it's hundreds. Like, you're hundreds coming along, and you go to yourself, I'm just here to do a job. Like, I'm the same as you. Like, I'm just very much. But I suppose that's right. In Donegal, they are the hospitality is always that is very good. Like,
I think so anyway. Like, it's. But then again, that's just probably because we're doing the majority of weddings here. We know each other like a lot, but
we probably know a lot of the same bond.
Yeah,
but it's that thing of, like, say you go in and you get a manager that's kind of like, what he's doing, and you're kind of going, we're like, I'm not trying to annoy you, please.
We're just here to do a job.
We're nearly the opposite, because we've both worked on the venue side as well. So we know a wee bit more, like, say not all suppliers have worked at venue base, so you know what's going on. So I think we're more inclined to be more helpful and work with them, because we know the flow, and we're like, I'm here to make your job easier, and I know how to make your job easier.
But it's so funny too, because even like we've done weddings with Scruffy Duffy there, like in Scruff, one of the first ones we ever done, he's like, I'll set up on the stage along at the same time as you, and we're like, that's grand, and and I was like, just you take that half of the stage, we'll take this half. That'll be all right. I was like, he's like, geez, I've had some rows with bands that wouldn't give me. And you're going, why? Like, it's the same with what do you call him up in Ballyliffin, John. Mm-hmm. Like, says you set up on that side, and then it'll leave it easier for us getting out. We'll not be going across you. Geez, I just don't understand why would bands fight with.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy.
Instead of everyone making their life easier.
You see happen vendors too. Like,
it's so funny.
It's crazy. Like, What's next for Red Alert? What's next for Team Bride? What's the
collaboration? I'm going to be the new lead singer.
We might need you.
Tell Tommy his days are numbered.
Yeah, we're kind of get through this season and then trying to buy a new PA, which is scary. But yeah, that's the kind of, we're just pushing on. We're actually one of.
But it's good as well. You're upgrading, and that's something. That's always,
like,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, that's for a couple as well. That's good to know as well that you're
you just try and keep it top, but like you kind of try and keep that you're like it's always as fresh as you can have it, like, and the PA is going to not let you down, and you know, because it's important. That's, you know,
big time, mate.
And having backup, you know, making sure that it's covered, because you do hear horror stories of like something. So like you'll always have spares of everything nearly that you're never. Because it's a scary. That's the biggest fear, like, is breaking down on the road, or else something breaking down on the night.
And not being able to do it, like.
Yeah.
That's always a worry.
Touch wood. Jeez, it never happened.
TeamBride, what's the thing moving forward? You're doing a lot more travelling than would you ever done as well.
Yeah, TeamBride is 10 years in October. So I'm kind of tinkering in my mind of doing something. Like, I used to do big events and stuff when I first started. I used to do loads of stuff. And then COVID kind of got in the way. I used to do like big wedding workshops, you know, like girls' days out and stuff like that. So I'm kind of tinkering in the back of my mind, but I'm just leaning into it more, and, you know, not being scared, just to push myself out there a wee bit more.
Heard it here first. TeamBride coming.
Doing the PA for the day services, you know, it's really starting to become more of a thing than just the morning.
I think it's great. Like you said, I was working, it was last Tuesday or Wednesday, and it was Erica. Funny she mentioned you, because I said we were doing this. She goes, I love her stuff on TikTok.
So thanks,
she
Erica.
Did she mention me? No.
She's like, Micheál.
She wasn't mentioning your stuff on TikTok, like, you know, but I must put her on there, like, you know.
Imagine me being more famous on TikTok than you.
Wouldn't be hard.
Isn't there?
But so that's your sort of thing.
Yeah, just leaning more into it, and just being not as shy, just to push myself forward and go a bit further afield, you know, see what's out there.
Brilliant. I think we've touched on loads today. I think we've got through lots.
It's like therapy for wedding vendors.
So I think we'll call an end on that, and thank you so much for joining us, and cheers.
Thanks,
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.